Record.
Okay.
Share screen. All right.
Okay, Brian. Everybody already has copies, so worst thing that happens is they don't see it.
Yeah.
That's why I brought 10 copies.
Plugged in.
We're plugged in.
But the screen's not up.
It's got a red light on. Yeah. Here we go.
Okay.
It's warming. It's warming. It's warming to it.
He took his team in there every year. Oh. Baseball coach.
You can talk at your people and I'll.
Okay. There we go.
He was in deep trouble.
It's coming.
I think I never watched her twice. Her sister's one, I always liked. She was singing Diane. When
There we go.
Give it a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, well, we done with our sports discussion?
No.
Okay.
We know where he's in.
Okay, well, we're gonna talk about treasurer, this stuff. Okay, for those of you who have not met me, my name's Anita Hoyt. I am your past district treasurer. I know that this is hard. Last year's district treasurer was Anita Hoyt. This year's district treasurer is Annette Hemrick. Yes, I've been called Annette most of my life, but I've never been called a Hemrick. So if that helps you, there you go. Anyway, it's my pleasure to help with this training tonight. So what we have here is, and I'm just going to go to the next page. Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. Use your arrows. It's easier.
Okay, I will do that. Okay, we have two types of accounts. Okay, in the Lions Club or in any service organization, we have two different types of accounts. The first one is the activity account. That's also known as your project, your charity, or your service account. Okay. The second account that we have is your administrative or business account. Okay.
Does it tap it?
Well,
Try the mouse pad.
all right.
We need to click duplicate. It's thinking pretty hard about that.
Okay, get to the next one. Well, why doesn't it? Okay, there we go.
You're also not in slideshow mode.
Okay. Well, anyway, our activity, project, charity, or service account is used for service projects, costs, and profit. So if you're doing a service project, you can deduct your costs related to that service project in the activity account. If money is used for club projects from the public, it is deposited into this account. One question we always get is, do we need to have two accounts? If you can get two accounts and they're free, get two accounts. It's much easier. Otherwise, you have to keep it separate. You have to have another set of books where you're keeping it separate all the time. The public face of your club is shown through this account. Okay, so what the public knows that you do white cane, if you sell Christmas trees, you can clap for her later. Thank you, Kathy. Okay, key thing is with your activity account is no administrative expenses of the club are to be paid from this account. You can go from an admin to activity, but you cannot go from activity to admin. Okay, this is also the account that you typically raise money from the public for. Yes, Brian.
If you raise money, let's say for like a service project,
Yes,
and you want to recognize people, like we just had a candy day sale, raised about $2,000. And we had 4 businesses that let us work outside in front and collect money. So if we recognize them with like a plaque or something, does that have to come out of our admin account, or can it come out of the?
it can come out of your activity account because it's related to the project, but I would state the project name on the
Right.
plaque.
Yes, exactly.
Specifically.
Say, want
But-
to thank Kmart for participating in the pancake brunch or the.
Yes.
sandwiches.
Yes, that can come from the activity funds from those that you raise because it's related to the project.
Okay, that's one question. I
Okay,
wanted to-
what you cannot do is pay your international dues from that project.
No,
Okay, that's the difference.
the dues are kept.
Correct, correct. Okay,
Quick question.
yes,
What are club's options for helping a member financially?
okay. When you help a member financially, if it is a Lions Club member, that needs to come from your administrative account. Okay, we always take, when Lions are helping Lions, that comes from the administrative account, not the activity account. Yes, Kenny?
Yeah, we had a whole situation here in the district. I gotta be careful not using names. Where that sort of situation, I don't know, it's not the one Jim, I'm sure, is talking about. But where if we help a lion that has a problem, that if we were to do the same thing for someone that's not a lion, can we not take that from activity money?
If the person is not a lion, yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The person is a lion. The frustration, because I've been told, and I think I already hear your answer, is that we can't help them. We cannot help them out of the activity account because they're a lion. And I have a problem with that. Because if you hold them to the same standard, or that you would say, it would, in this case, it was kind of a natural disaster.
Okay,
You know,
the best thing that I can say is I need to research the answer. And the way I will research the answer is I will contact LCI.
Well,
And that's how I would research the answer and say, we have this situation. Is this possible? I have always been told that if it's a Lions Club member, it has to come from administrative.
and I understand, and that's normally the way that if you handle it that way, you won't have any trouble.
Right.
Or you
I
shouldn't.
think they're trying to avoid the appearance of using the activity funds for Lions business. I think they're trying to avoid that.
Because the same thing would apply, let's say, because we've had, I think we've all heard about the tornado that went through Dexter a number of years ago. And we went in and we got an immediate $10,000 grant from LCIF. And so they went over there and they were able to give away $50 gift cards that I think you can buy gas. I don't know, might have been Meyer, let's just say. So you could go there, if you wanted to buy food, you wanted to buy gas, whatever you needed. Now, some of the people they may have helped that may have had their stuff torn down may have been Lions. I'm not saying they were. But if they were Lions, could you say, oh, wait a minute, we can help Jim and Ryan, and we can help them, but we can't help Denny because he's a lion. Well,
Okay,
that's-
Denny,
that's-
I understand what you're saying. I'm telling you, I don't have the answer. We've got to move on.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
I need to research the answer specifically and email both Annette and make sure that I have her permission to email all the treasurers. Because I think you make a good point. I don't know the reason why we've been told this. And that's what I don't know the answer for. They may, they may say that that's okay. Okay, great. But why have we been told something different? But I've got it written down in my questions. I'll be taking notes for questions for your stuff too, just so you can.
I would think it would be the
That's what I believe that it is the appearance. They want to avoid the appearance. They would want to avoid the appearance of impropriety. That's what I believe it is. Okay, so the administrative account includes club dues, meals, conferences, postage for just regular club business. If you're sending out thank yous for a service project, you can buy the postage from the activity account. And training are paid from this account. All funds should come from Lions Club members for this account. We can't mix funds with the activity account. But like I said before, it's best to keep separate checking accounts for admin and activity. Now, one thing I want to make clear on this, and I'm going to say it twice tonight, is the anticipated billing for dues. International is based on your membership count at the end of June and December. The multi-district and district have the same membership count as international, and those numbers come from the Lions State Office at the end of June and December. That's why you get your bills in January, July. Okay. So one thing that you need, one thing that the treasurer who does not have access to LCI to remove members, you have to make it clear to your secretary and your president. If we have a member who has left the club, we take them off our rolls, because unless they're sending us a check, we're going to have it come out of our administrative account that they're not helping pay into.
And I think they did do, because when they send the dues, they send a list of the members they pay.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
go
You
through your
can
roster
go in and view.
and see if
You can go into LCI as the treasurer and view, but you cannot make changes. Only the secretary and the president. Then you should be able to do that. Congratulations. You are a powerful man, Brian. No, but as district treasurer, I would sometimes receive bills or invoices back from multi-district and district where they would just mark out numbers and change them. And it's like, I didn't make these numbers up. This is what LCI said. They give you a printout that tells you this is what we're doing. This is where it's from. And you can go into LCI and find them exactly. So always, when I hate to say it, but the treasurer is the squeaky wheel kind of the organization. We don't have enough money. You need to pay your dues. We need to get people who aren't coming here, who we haven't seen in 3 years, but what we've paid for. We need to get them off our rolls. Yes. Yes. Sadly, it makes you difficult. Okay. One thing, raising money. Do I need a gaming license? I think we're good right now. Do I need a gaming license? This would be for like raffles and things. If you are selling raffle tickets to the public, yes, you do need a gaming license. It costs you $50 from the state of Michigan. Okay. Or if the prize to be awarded is over $100 in a 24-hour period, or 50-50, even if it's a closed group. I don't know if some of you were here in 2019 in this building where we had to shut down, we had to quit selling raffle tickets. Lucky for me, I hadn't bought any tickets, so it wasn't a donor that night. I gave my money away. I gave my money still to the district. But we had exceeded the total amount of the 250, of the 50 to $200, we had to quit selling because we didn't have a raffle license. Now, is your question about difference between open and closed group?
No,
Okay,
my question about on the raffle, the Lions of Michigan raffle that's in the spring.
yes,
Where they have the $5,000 prize.
Yes.
things like that.
they have a raffle license.
And then we sell them to our friends.
Yes,
But that,
We're covered under
they
that
have the
license.
license.
they have the license, yes, and it's right on there. And
Okay.
if you are selling to a closed group, that would be like a club meeting, or like tonight, we're not selling to anybody in the public, only people who've come here who are part of our group. It's considered a closed group. And the prize is less than $100 in a 24-hour period. So if we collect $50 and somebody gets $25 tonight, we don't have to have a license. So if it's for a small thing, it's good. But the state of Michigan, as far as gaming is concerned, for a service club, $100 or more in a 24-hour period. So you could do 3 raffles of $25 each and make the threshold. But as soon as you award that $101 within the 24-hour period, you drift into, I need a gaming license. Okay, and you have to do all of the documentation for it. Because not only do you have to have the license, you have to have the documentation. Now, always apply for a Michigan gaming license 8 to 10 weeks before you need to print your tickets, as the license number has got to be printed on the tickets. I happen to be an Altrusan as well as a Lion, or an Altrusa member, and our club right now is waiting for a Michigan gaming license for our raffle, for our diamond raffle, that we're going to award a diamond to someone in a drawing the first week in December. We can't print tickets yet until we get that license. And because the state of Michigan, some of them are working from home, some of them are not, I would say, as soon as you start talking about a raffle, if they say we want to start selling tickets on this date, get your raffle license in well ahead of time, so you're not calling and begging for it, which I have done before too. If you're nice with them, they're nice with you. And if you decide not to hold something, but then you have another event, you can always transfer that for that raffle license number to your next event, if it's within the calendar year. And I have done that. It only required a letter, but they let us do it. So, but that was with Altrusa, not with the Lions Club.
With what you just said, I spoke with a young man today. Once I conducted the business, I asked how he was, talked to him a little bit. He said, nobody ever talks to me about anything but business. He said, it's nice to be treated like a person.
Oh, good.
Sometimes people
If you were polite, they usually really walk you through it, is what I've found. Because my attitude always is, unless you ask, it's no. So I'll ask people anything. You're already at no, so what's the worst they can say? No. Okay, as far as reporting of club finances, always be factual in the reporting of account balances and show a balance sheet of income and expenses. Also, if your club has a budget, show your income and expenses with respect to your club budget. Do not be the individual, or do not be the treasurer who comes to their club when you have a big problem. Finances of your club should not be a surprise to your club members ever, because that never is received well. And I'm a project manager by profession. I talk about money all the time. And I've just learned, I actually learned how to talk about money from a good friend of mine. And he happens to own He's a dirtbag who owns an appliance store. But when I was working with Habitat for Humanity, he was very upfront about, okay, yeah, I can sell you this washer and dryer. Yeah, you can come and get it today. How will I get paid? That simple question, he wanted to know how, that was a simple question. And I told him how he would get paid. And it's like, well, I'm going to have to go see the treasurer and I'll drop off a check. I'll do that right now. You can do it in a couple of days. But he knew I had a plan. And so, I didn't stammer. I didn't say, well, it's going to take this. We're going to have to. No, we've already voted on this via email. It's sailed through. We're happy to write you a check. And that's the way we should be as Lions, be above board. And although we may not like all the expenses we have to pay, if we're able to pay them, be grateful we can pay them quickly and move on. Because there's more to come, and we know that.
One thing that in this holding a school role, I came up with a form, got one of the cards, but basically thanks to people for donating to the Marshall Lions Club, Lions International, and it says your money's going to be spent for vision and health and vision and hearing projects, along with the other projects, 31 other Lions projects. And then it goes on to say we're a 501(c), and your donations tax deductible. Then it's again, we've been serving the public since 1953, and then it gives a signed by Lion this, whoever collects the money, and the date. And then that's a thank you and a receipt all in one thing.
Right. Good idea. Good idea.
I do have a follow-up question.
Yes, Jim.
We're a C4. What are the advantages of C3? What would you accomplish?
Well, actually, there is a very simple way you can accomplish it. However, it sounds simple, but it might be a little bit convoluted. You can, if you want to be a tax deductible organization, you can have checks, or you can have checks made out to the, what is it? It would be basically the Lions Club Foundation, the Michigan Lions Club's Foundation, and you can get, with filling out maybe 3 sheets of paper, you can get an account at the Lions of Michigan Charity Fund. Okay, now
We already have that.
you can do that. Okay,
They contribute to that, won't contribute to us.
because
You're very.
they can't, because that they can write off their taxes. Technically, they can't write, technically, the Lions Club, although they're a service organization, they are not a charity. They're not considered to be tax exempt or a charity. So if you have an account there at the Lions of Michigan Fund and you don't earn any interest, and you have to provide your receipts to get reimbursed with your own money. So that's the convoluted part. And the other thing they don't give you is they don't give you statements on it. So you got to kind of keep track of yourself where it's at, because it doesn't
And
change.
Chad is easy to work with.
Yes,
So you
Chad
just email
McCann
him
is very easy to
and
work with.
he'll do whatever you ask.
Yes, and he's very quick. Only one time did he fail to send a check to me. And he found the email where I sent to him and he responded, they just never sent a check to our Lions Club. But we caught it like 6 weeks later. So that was okay. Kenny.
Well, the Lions of Michigan Foundation. In fact, that's one of the reasons that it was established, was to, in order for clubs not to have to form their own 501c3 because that's a lot of paperwork
Oh,
and
Yes.
so forth. And so we have that conduit in there. Also though, like if it's a local business, if they contribute to you, well, let's say you're selling onions or fruit or nuts, they can write that off as a purchase as they would anything else. But it's only when it's a charitable, I think it goes under their charitable giving. In
Right.
case like they want a product from you, then that would be no different than that product from anybody else.
Okay. Club tax reporting. This is the fun part. I say that tongue in cheek. Okay. Each of your clubs should have an EIN or an employee identification number. This is your tax ID number. I have found that it is best to keep both electronic and hard copies of the tax ID letter. I have one on my computer. I have a copy on my computer at home. I've got a copy on my computer at work. So if somebody says, I need to know our tax, I have a copy of the number itself in the checkbook on a Post-it note. And I have a file that has the hard copies because as treasurer, you get asked for this information quite often. I haven't committed it to memory, but I'm about to put it into my phone as well. Yes, sir.
Oh, say any more about that.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm reading this. It says less than 50,000.
Yes, I looked it up last night.
It's 50, so that, it was 25,
Yes,
so it's just changed. in the
it's
last
just
couple-
changed.
Well, it's,
Yes,
so our club was getting close to that.
right. So each club must fill out an IRS Form 990N each year based on the amount of money the club has. If the fund's annual gross receipts are less than 50,000, the club can file a 990 EZ form, which is only about 8 questions. That's the little postcard thing. You do it electronically. It's not that hard. As the past district treasurer, I've had to fill out the long form. Many of the questions don't apply to the Lions Club because we don't have paid members. They don't pay, many things are zero. Really where you get into it is where you, some of your activities. You have to add those together and identify those. But,
Yeah,
yes,
and you got, I found out too, you have to add your activity and administrative income. So
Yes.
if your club collects, as my former club did, we've always paid for our meals to the secretary and treasurer deposit. And we didn't realize until, because I don't think we either had a number or we never filed, that all those, taking in $200 twice a month, that was included or had to be added to all the funds you
activity.
raised. And that was another thing. I was really bothered when I heard that. I thought that isn't right, but it's every dollar that came through
The organization, not the accounts, it's the organization. Because if you have 2 jobs, you still have to file your taxes. With both jobs, you don't get to pick or choose.
What happens if you go and buy something small, go out and buy dinner for everybody? It's not considered the same thing. If we bring in like a couple of trays from Walton's grocery store and everybody has a slider and everybody has some fruit and that type of thing. And I pay for it personally. That doesn't go to the Lions.
If you did not funnel it through the Lions, no.
Well, that's what I said. That's the way I get around that.
Right, it's possible. Okay, our next. But I've got to do the district taxes. That's my last thing I have to do after tonight as the former district treasurer. And then I'm done with all this. Okay, LCIF grants. The reason why I put this in here is because Stan Masters, we all love him, has received not 1, but 2 Quest grants totaling $15,000 each while I was district treasurer, which is kind of cool. You know, those are fantastic grants. What you need to do is, if you're applying for grants, tip off your district governor, who's got to sign the grant form, and the district treasurer. If you apply for an LCIF grant or a state grant, as the funds will be deposited into the district account and will be earmarked only for your club's use for the project being awarded the grant. Okay. Now, the reason why I say you need to engage the district treasurer, and I've talked to the Quest group and I've talked to LCIF about this. I said, I get contacted when it's time to scramble. When I'm good at scrambling, but I make more mistakes when I scramble. And so does everyone else. And I have to provide them 3 documents of information, and it's usually the club is waiting for the grant. They're waiting for the grant. You need to get this there now so we can get this grant. But if I knew about it, I would have it on a flash drive or something, carrying it with me. I'd have it in my phone. I'd have the email ready, and all I need is the email address, and I could send it rather than scramble. The types of things that, and they always need the same thing, but they don't keep the information. For the grant they had 2 years ago, they don't keep our bank information. They don't keep our W-9. They don't keep our IRS letter. You have to provide that every time. So, but if you tell the club, you know, if you tell the district treasurer you're going to need that, then I'll have that file ready rather than the scramble. And believe me, every time this happens, I'm either at my parents' at the lake cottage, or I've broken my leg and I can't get to my basement where that stuff is. Something, and my poor younger sister had to go and get things out of my basement and scan them for me so I could send them out. But also, so that's why I say, yeah, give us a heads up, and we know. I've suggested to both LCIF and to the Quest grant group that the district treasurer be added to the people who are notified from the beginning and what their expectation is. We can meet your expectation, but you can't meet it timely if you're scrambling or if you don't know about it until the last minute. So it's a, and you know, I learned the hard way, not once, but twice. Okay, when you do apply for an LCIF grant, whether it's a Quest grant or any other type of grant, invoices must be provided to the district treasurer to pay the bills of the grant project because it will be paid through the district. One thing that I did learn when I was panicked with a broken leg is, and the poor people at the Quest group this year, the Quest grant people, the young lady who was the grant manager for Stan's Quest grant, her brother died. So she was on bereavement for a week. And they kept saying, where are the funds? Where are the funds? Why don't we have the funds? It's the end of the school year. And I was thinking, and it was almost the end of the Lions year, being June 30th. I thought that the grant started when the funds were dispersed. So I had to get them by June 30th rather than by July 1st. No, the grant begins when it's awarded, not when the funds are deposited. And I'm like, well, school's out now. Send it between now and July 15th, we're good. You know, but you know, I did not, as district treasurer, I did not want to risk another school getting this Quest grant within our district because there was a delay in receiving those funds. You know, I wasn't concerned whether or not the funds were there. I was concerned whether or not they would get there, whether it would affect our eligibility in the future. Because I see pattern with Stan, and I think he's going to do one next year, or he's going to help another club do one, which is great. But learning that was probably my biggest win of the year. Because I was panicking for nothing.
So,
Yes, sir.
so you said the grant calendar begins. So what is normally the grant? How long is the grant calendar?
What that means is,
You have-
typically, I think with these Quest grants, you could apply for one a year. Well, because it was awarded in April.
Oh, you're talking about getting a grant.
Yes.
I thought you meant when you got that,
No,
you could sit on that money
you,
forever. if you
well,
wanted.
you can't sit on it
Well,
forever. Some of them have deadlines. And in fact, as district treasurer, I got involved with the one that the Jackson Professional Club, the virtual club got. And the grant administrator was very much a stickler. Not only did we have to provide her the invoices, we had to provide her the check numbers. Then I had to provide the bank statements showing those checks had been cashed for her to close out that grant of $10,000. So
What was there a period of time?
there was a period of time, and I got an extension because I said,
I was just.
I'm going to need a 2-week extension because my younger sister just left, and unless I figure out how to get down my stairs myself. Yes, sir.
Is the district some?
Yes.
'Cause
Yes.
I don't know where you get.
Yes. Where I get what?
Well, where we would get it as members. People ask me.
Yes.
have,
The district.
Been affected by the pandemic. Oh,
Um,
every charity
yes.
was.
The district has been affected by the pandemic. I can tell you that 2 years ago, our parade of checks was quite a bit higher than last year. But that's only based on what clubs decide to do. It was done virtually. It was done via email rather than, and not every club is as good at electronics as what other clubs are. And for example, parade of checks, I purposely did, I could publish totals for totals to an organization, but I did not publish what each individual club gave because everybody would compare themselves to the big clubs, and the smaller clubs are never going to be able to meet what the big clubs do. And when I say big clubs, I'm talking about, I think it's Ann Arbor, one of the Ann Arbor clubs, the Dexter Club and Vandercook Lake, and Jackson Post. Those are your big clubs. And they give 10 times what many of the smaller clubs give per organization during the parade of checks. And so I didn't feel that it was right to, put out a list and have people compare because there's no advantage to that. But I did report what the total amount was to each organization. And if your club chose to give to that, you were a part of that kind of thing. But as administratively, I can tell you our administrative budget last year, we had double that in our administrative account. So we were on very good finance, and that allows, when I talked about the multi-district and district dues, as soon as we would receive the multi-district dues, I could pay that check immediately because the money was sitting in the account. I didn't have to wait for the clubs to send in their checks, which was also beneficial because those of you who know me know I live in Coldwater, Michigan. There is no Comerica Bank in Coldwater, Michigan. So I usually went to Battle Creek, or I would come to Jackson to deposit checks. Well, I usually didn't make a special trip unless I had a lot of checks to deposit, like after the parade of checks. I would do it when I was on my way somewhere else. And so a couple of people call me, hey, you haven't cashed our check yet. And it's like,
I think you inherited the treasurer from Walt, right?
I inherited actually from Barry Allen, who
Okay.
inherited it from
Because
Walt.
that was a very difficult period for
Yes.
members, treasurers, because Walt, we sent the money to Walt, but it didn't appear that the checks were cashed. and
Right.
how much they-
But I would typically, if I was mobile, I was depositing checks like every couple of weeks. And so that's not a big deal. Now that I'm not district treasurer, I am my club treasurer for the Jackson Professional Virtual Club. I happen to work 2 floors above a Comerica Bank branch. Go figure. In downtown Battle Creek. Yes, but it does help. The thought behind choosing Comerica was simply because they let us have a free account, 2 free accounts, and they are in most large cities within our district. And to me, to go through the pain of changing bank accounts, it isn't worth it for a couple of years to change it again. It's like, no. And because we had a pretty good float there, it could wait for $1,500 more to be deposited. So that was my thought.
Personal relationship with that.
Yes, yes. Okay, here's another thing about grants. Most grants are paid to the activity fund unless they're specifically identified for training or other administrative expenses. Okay, our group did receive 2 grants this year. One of them was for advertising or printing. That was a grant that Terry Huffman got just before she became governor. But also there was a training grant that Michael Scott had been awarded, but that was on a reimbursement basis rather than them giving us the funds directly. But those are examples of what would go into the administrative account, training or like advertising about the Lions. I believe that's what paid for the, what the heck is a tail twister brochure is what, the first one, the one that Terry got. And
they help
then
pay for the rosters too.
And I believe that the training that we're doing tonight, the money associated with it will get reimbursed to our district from the state because we had to postpone it last year. But we received a grant for that. So there are all kinds of grants and whatever, if you can, if you search around, you can find a grant for almost anything you want to do. And if you need funds to do service projects, explore the grant avenue. And it does take some planning and it takes some writing, but I can tell you, Kelly Luby, with our club, we're almost done. Kelly Luby with our club was implemented, our club was installed or chartered. 3 days later, we received a $10,000 grant. She had to write it 3 times, but the grant administrator told her what to say. I mean, was that engaged in it? And she stuck with it. But, she said, I think this is a record. 3 months, 3 days after you became a club, money was deposited. So, all right, final thing, our calendar. Okay, you might want to take this and keep this with your treasury. In July, the first half of the international dues, and probably late July or early August, first half of the multi-district and district dues are due. In August or September, you'll get the parade of checks information sent to the club. In October, we will have the fall conference of parade of checks. November 15th, because our year begins in July, on November 15th, that's when the IRS 990N, the easy or the long form is due. In December, end of the month is the membership count for the second half of the year. Okay, in January, and I try to tell people the membership count, if you can get it solidified within LCI by December 15th, you're sitting pretty well. If you don't have it done by December 15th, you might have to make a phone call. But that's always been my goal. Get it done by the 15th of the month so you have some recovery time if you have to make a phone call. And then January, we have our second half international dues, second half multi-district and district dues are due. In February or March, that's when we have our spring conference sign up. In April or May, we have our spring conference. And then in June again, at the end of the month, membership count for the first half of next year. Bill. Yes, sir, Brian.